97,000 tons of American steel, 5,000 souls, 239 days of continuous operations without a single port call. The 2024 deployment of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower to the Red Sea was not just a military campaign against Houthi rebels. It was a profound experiment in human endurance. When a crew is isolated from the rest of the world for 8 months, living inside a nuclear-powered industrial complex, the challenge shifts from fighting the enemy to maintaining the social fabric of the ship. How do you keep 5,000 people motivated, disciplined, and sane when every day looks exactly the same? The answer lies in a unique, self-contained society that evolves to meet the needs of its citizens. A society with its own economy, its own traditions, and its own unspoken rules. This is not a story about breaking down. It is a story about adaptation. We are going to document the intricate ecosystem of an aircraft carrier at war. From the makeshift gymnasiums where sailors build resilience to the complex underground economy of snacks and digital media to the rare moments of collective joy on the flight deck. We will analyze the logistical marvel of feeding a crew around the clock and the psychological mechanisms that allow young men and women to function in one of the most stressful environments on Earth. This is the definitive look at morale, logistics, and life aboard a floating city. To appreciate the resilience of the crew, one must first understand the environment they inhabit. An aircraft carrier is an assault on the senses, designed for machines, not humans. It is an industrial environment that operates 24 hours a day. The catapults launch aircraft with a force that shakes the entire hull, creating a rhythmic mechanical heartbeat that never stops. The air is heavy with the scent of jet fuel, ozone, and the inevitable humidity of 5,000 people breathing in recycled air. Privacy is non-existent. A sailor shares a berthing compartment with 60 to 100 others, sleeping in racks stacked 3 high with curtains providing the only barrier between them and the world. The routine is relentless. A standard shift is 12 hours, but flight operations often extend that to 14 or 16. The repetition of watch, work, eat, sleep creates a state of sensory monotony. In this context, boredom becomes a formidable adversary. It is not merely the absence of activity, but a psychological weight that can erode discipline and focus. To combat this, the crew of the Eisenhower, and indeed every carrier in the U.S. fleet, has developed a sophisticated culture of engagement and distraction. The foundation of this culture is physical fitness. On a warship, the gym is more than a place to exercise. It is a critical release valve for stress. The USS Gerald R. Ford features 3 dedicated gymnasiums, while the Nimitz-class carriers utilize every available square foot for fitness. Equipment is jammed into fan rooms, corners of the hangar bay, and even endless passageways. The Fit Boss, a civilian specialist, oversees the programs, but the intensity comes from the sailors themselves. The 1,000-pound club, achieving a combined bench press, squat, and deadlift of half a ton, is a prestigious milestone. However, exercising at sea presents unique physics. When the ship maneuvers or encounters rough seas, the deck tilts. A sailor lifting heavy weights must stabilize not just the load, but their own body against the roll of the ship. It requires a heightened level of focus known as tactical lifting. Beyond the weights, cardio is a logistical challenge. Running on a treadmill that pitches up and down requires intense concentration. When weather permits, the flight deck becomes the world's most impressive running track. Sailors run 5Ks on the non-skid surface, battling high winds and exhaust fumes with the endless ocean as their backdrop. These physical exertions trigger endorphins, providing a chemical countermeasure to the stress of deployment. The USS Ford even introduced a specialized asset for mental health, Sage, a trained therapy dog. The presence of a golden retriever in a high-tech warship provides a touch of domestic normalcy, allowing sailors to lower their emotional defenses even if just for a moment. As the physical work ends, the digital life begins. The modern sailor is a digital native and the Navy has had to adapt. Each berthing compartment features a lounge, a communal space that serves as the ship's living room. Here the glow of screens illuminates the dark. Gaming is a massive component of carrier culture. Tournaments for Madden, FIFA, and Call of Duty are organized with the precision of military operations. Different departments form teams, creating a healthy rivalry that channels aggression into competition. On the Eisenhower, the command understood the importance of shared cultural moments. They set up a massive projection screen in the hangar bay to broadcast the Super Bowl live via satellite. Hundreds of sailors gathered at 3 a.m. local time, sitting on the steel deck next to armed fighter jets to watch the game. It was a surreal juxtaposition of American leisure and military readiness, a reminder of the home they were protecting. Connectivity is the new gold standard of morale. The USS Ford and other modern carriers are equipped with ship-wide Wi-Fi. While bandwidth is limited and streaming services are often blocked to preserve operational capacity, the ability to use FaceTime or send text messages is revolutionary. It allows a sailor to see their child's first steps or wish a spouse a happy birthday in real time. This digital umbilical cord is a lifeline, but sociologists within the Navy note it is a double-edged sword. It keeps sailors connected, but it also means they are never fully away. A domestic dispute back home, which in previous decades would have been dealt with via letters over weeks, now plays out in real-time texts, leaving the sailor distracted while on duty. The command must carefully manage river city conditions, periods of communications blackouts, balancing operational security with the crew's need for connection. Within the ship, a complex microeconomy thrives, centered around food. The ship's galley provides 3 nutritious meals a day, but the Midrat's midnight rations served from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. holds a special place in Navy folklore. This meal caters to the night shift and offers comfort food that defies dietary restrictions but boosts morale. The Hamster, a deep-fried chicken cordon bleu, is a legendary item. Its value is so high that sailors will trade work shifts or other favors for an extra serving. Beyond the galley, the ship's store or G-dunk serves as the convenience store. Here the currency is energy drinks and spicy ramen noodles. These items form the basis of jailhouse burritos, a culinary invention born of necessity where ramen is crushed, mixed with meats, cheeses, and snacks, and rehydrated into a calorie-dense meal. The logistics of keeping the store stocked are vital. If the supply of Monster Energy or Rip Its runs low, morale takes a tangible hit. On the Eisenhower, Captain Hill utilized food as a leadership tool. He personally distributed tens of thousands of chocolate chip cookies during the deployment. This cookie diplomacy broke down the traditional barriers between officers and enlisted personnel, serving as a simple human gesture of appreciation in a high-stakes environment. Service industries also emerge within the hull. While the ship has an official barber shop, the demand often outstrips the supply and the styles are strictly regulation. This leads to the rise of barracks barbers, talented sailors who set up shop in machine rooms or fantails, offering haircuts for the price of energy drinks or tobacco. Similarly, digital media trading is rampant. Before deployment, sailors fill hard drives with terabytes of movies and TV shows. At sea, these hard drives become mobile libraries, swapped and copied among the crew, ensuring that fresh entertainment is always circulating. However, the most effective morale boosters are those authorized and organized by the command. The Steel Beach Picnic is a time-honored tradition. The flight deck, usually a hazardous industrial zone, is shut down and transformed. The air wing moves the jets to the bow, and the culinary team brings out massive charcoal grills constructed from 55-gallon drums. For a few hours, the warship becomes a backyard barbecue. The smell of jet fuel is replaced by the smell of burgers and hot dogs. Sailors wear civilian clothes, play volleyball, and listen to live music performed by talented crew members. It is a deliberate tactical pause, allowing the crew to decompress and reconnect with the natural world, to feel the sun and see the horizon not as a threat but as a view. Even rarer is the swim call. In the deepest parts of the ocean, the ship comes to a halt. The aircraft elevators are lowered to water level, and sailors are permitted to jump into the open sea. It is a moment of profound freedom, swimming in water that is miles deep, watched over by shark watch sentries. These events are logistical nightmares to organize, but the return on investment in terms of crew psychology is immeasurable. The isolation of deployment also produces unique sociological phenomena. Without external inputs, the crew creates its own mythology and traditions. Snipe hunts are a form of initiation for new sailors who are sent on impossible errands to find keys to the sea chest, batteries for the sound-powered phone, or a bucket of steam. While it may seem like hazing to the outsider within the culture, it is a rite of passage that teaches the layout of the ship and humility. More bizarre are the mysteries that captivate the crew, such as the phenomenon known as the phantom. On almost every long deployment, a situation arises where an unknown individual begins leaving biological waste in inappropriate locations, showers, laundry rooms, or passageways. While unpleasant, the search for the culprit becomes a ship-wide obsession, a whodunit mystery that breaks the monotony of the daily routine. It is a strange manifestation of stress, but one that historically appears in isolated groups, from prisons to Antarctic research stations. The social hub of the ship is undoubtedly the smoke pit. Located on a sponson, a metal platform hanging over the ocean, it is the only place open to the elements where sailors can gather idly. It functions as the ship's town square. Here, rank structures relax. Officers and enlisted personnel stand side by side in the wind. It is the birthplace of scuttlebutt, the Navy term for rumors. Information flows faster in the smoke pit than through official channels. News about deployment extensions, port calls, or potential combat actions is dissected and analyzed here. It serves as a collective therapy session, a place to vent frustrations and share theories before returning to the regulated interior of the ship. The culmination of this endurance test is the return home. The Tiger Cruise marks the final leg of the journey, where family members are allowed to board the ship for the last few days. The introduction of civilians, children, spouses, parents into this sealed military ecosystem is a shock to the system. Sailors must abruptly shift gears, moderating their language and behavior. When the Eisenhower finally docked in Norfolk in July 2024, the scene on the pier was emotional. The physical toll of the deployment was visible. Sailors were pale from months under LED lights, lighter from the stress and work, but unbroken. They had successfully operated a nuclear-powered airfield in a combat zone for 8 months. They faced the threat of anti-ship ballistic missiles and the grinding pressure of 12-hour shifts. But their greatest victory was internal. They maintained their cohesion, their discipline, and their identity. The reintegration into civilian life is the final challenge. For weeks after returning, sailors report land sickness, waking up in panic because their bed isn't moving or reaching for a light switch that is in a different place. They miss the white noise of the ventilation and the camaraderie of the mess deck. The ship, with all its hardships, creates a profound sense of belonging. The hamsters, the midrats, the shared struggle, these become defining memories. This documentary look at life aboard a U.S. Navy carrier reveals a fundamental truth. Morale is a weapons system. A depressed or distracted crew cannot operate a flight deck safely or manage a nuclear reactor. The gyms, the video games, the cookies, and the picnics are not luxuries. They are essential maintenance for the human component of the warship. The U.S. Navy has learned that to project power globally, it must first care for the people who generate that power. The crew of the Eisenhower proved that with the right support, the human spirit can endure almost anything. They turned a steel maze into a functioning society, and in doing so, they kept the watch so the world could sleep. If this deep dive into the sociology and logistics of carrier life offered you a new perspective on military service, I invite you to join our community. First, subscribe to the Tactical Chow channel. We are dedicated to documenting the reality of engineering and human endurance in extreme environments. Second, click the like button. This helps our content reach a wider audience and supports independent documentary storytelling. Third, leave a comment below. We want to hear from you. If you were deployed for 9 months, what is the one personal item you would bring to keep yourself sane? A specific book, a musical instrument, let us know. And finally, to understand the other side of naval discipline, you must see what happens when the rules are broken. Click the video on your screen right now to explore the brig, the shipboard jail. It is a stark contrast to the freedom of the flight deck and a crucial part of the ship's legal system. Click